Good morning, everybody. Today is November 16th, 2021. If you're watching this video pre-recorded or live, we're going to talk about the document checklist with IRCC, the internal processing. So in the next few minutes, we're going to discuss that. This is an unedited, raw video. I do apologize. Usually we're here 9 a.m. Eastern time at all times, but today we were a little bit delayed. The key to this is there's a lot of guides and document checklists published on the IRCC website. This is public information for applicants like yourself. However, they are using internal guides and manuals to actually process and look at your application. So when you're looking at YouTube videos, when you're searching for what's the best way to do a study plan, what's the best way to do a work permit application, what's the best way to do this or that, and you're using the IRCC or the visa instructions, guidelines, or checklists from your region, you have to be careful. Why? It's because they don't use the same system or that checklist per se to make a decision on your application. You could have the perfect application. You could follow that document checklist to the teeth, like every single point, and be refused. Why is that? Several reasons. One, IRCC has specific quotas per region, per embassy, per source country. Okay? And they have very specific internal restrictions all across these different regions and nationalities. Why do they have that? Why do they look at Nigerians and people from India differently than they do people from China, Vietnam, Brazil, Mexico, Colombia, Peru, or Dubai, or Pakistan, or anywhere else, Europe or US or Canadians? It's because of fraudulent documentation provided in those source countries. It will create a higher refusal rate, plus the refugee claimants from those countries. So let's take two countries, for example, Iran and Nigeria, very high refusal. The reason for that is, one, a lot of fraudulent documents like have been photoshopped and applied for visas previously, and those people have come to Canada and claimed asylum, which means they've claimed refugee status, correct? When the statistics are issued, those visas, those embassies are instructed to be more strict. So you could follow that document checklist for every line. However, it's useless. Plus, you have to consider that they are using internal manuals in those embassies, and IRCC officers here in Canada are using internal manuals which are not publicly available. So for example, you could have the perfect application, however it's refused. And when you're looking at YouTube videos or how-to guides, every country is different. So you cannot use somebody who's applied from the Philippines cannot be guiding somebody who's applying from the Middle East or from China or from Africa, Ghana, Nigeria, Tanzania, Senegal, Morocco, Egypt, wherever, South Africa, or somebody who's looking at study permits in or work in Mexico or applying from Chile or Colombia or Peru is different than somebody applying from Vietnam or India, right? So there's no one guide for everybody, correct? That's what you have to understand. Each region has their own internal guidelines, quotas, manuals, instructions that are not made publicly available on their website in a lot of cases. And certain entities in Canada, we can request those. So in 2022, we're going to have specific videos for each region, talking about those guides, talking about those internal instructions, how they're looking at it. We don't even look at some of these document checklists sometimes when we're looking at specific visas from specific source countries and embassies. You have to keep that in mind. IRCC makes those published, makes those available for applicants, but do they use that specifically to make a decision? No. You can have everything perfect. Somebody applying from India under the student direct stream will have a different benchmark than somebody applying from Middle East or Far East or South or Central America, right? So this is the fact. And over the next several months in 2022, we're going to be releasing videos of specific regional guides in terms of if you're applying from Nigeria, if you're applying from India, if you're applying from Middle East, Central or South America or Far East, what are the things that they're looking at? If you're from Mexico and you show $5,000 in your account, you're fine. If you're from Nigeria, that's not going to be fine. If you're from Middle East, that's not fine, right? If you're from China, that's not okay. If you're from Vietnam, that's not okay. So yes, there is discrimination. If you're looking at just what they've published in their website, you're completely wrong. Okay, so this is just a preview of what you should know, because each region, each nationality, each embassy, each program guide is different. And there's public information and there's internal. Based on experience and having done a lot of applications, you have to be aware what to do, how to apply. And sometimes we don't even listen or look at those document checklists. So if you're watching this video pre-recorded or whatever later on, that's what we have to say. As usual, we're going to jump into our comment section, and this is when we just answer questions live from our viewers on YouTube. And later on, we're going to publish this video on our Instagram and our Facebook. And basically, that's when you can just stop watching if you don't want to have any questions or you don't know about our live. This is going to drag on a little bit longer. So let's start looking at one by one these questions that people have posted. They can be random things related to Canadian immigration, whether you're inside Canada, outside, where you're looking at startup visa, family sponsorship, study permits, visitor visas, permanent residencies. I do like to make a point. Document checklists for permanent residencies are 100% true and factual. However, document checklists and guides on TRVs, temporary resident visas, are very different for each region and relatively useless. However, if you're doing your PR, you gotta follow those checklists. Then it's 100% genuine, and that's what you have to follow. But if you're looking at the document checklist posted or the visa instructions for your region or nationality, then those are 50% true. The rest of it is done internally based on other criteria, which is not communicated to you through the IRCC website. Okay, so that is a fact there. If you just joined us, watch our video or rewind, and this, we discussed this in the first, let's say, 6-7 minutes of this video. Now we're just going to jump into the live session, answer questions. That's it. Okay, so Wojcie Boguki is asking, I just want to share with you that we got ITA to New Brunswick. Great, excellent, congratulations. New Brunswick, Atlantic provinces are really good. And remember, when you arrive with your permanent residency later on with a permanent residency in any province, you're not stuck in that province. You have the choice, like any other Canadian, through free mobility and employment throughout Canada after you're a PR. Can you please update on work permits, sir? Work permits, what we're seeing right now, open spousal work permits are taking 2 months. We've been getting our clients' approvals 2 months, 2 months and 1 week. That's approximately what we're seeing. If you have been stuck doing work permits since 2019 or early 2020, your file is archived. They're not even looking at it. You need to figure out something. Wojcie Boguki, after a long wait time for FSW. Perfect, but that is PNP. Remember, PNP, there are draws, provincial nominee programs, but the general draw for express entry is not coming in, correct? It's provincial nominee programs that are continuing with the draws. We had one this week. That's where you're going to see the ITA. It's not the general draw. So if the province doesn't want you, you're not going to get it. So that's the different Wojcie, right? Pratyush, thank you all for all you do, sir. No problem. We're here to answer everybody's questions on Tuesdays, 9 a.m., 5 p.m. Eastern time. So that's North America, East Coast time, similar time zone as Montreal, Ottawa, New York, Miami, Toronto. Ampadi Narayanan. Hello, Reza. Hope you're doing well. Thank you. I applied for my study permit from India on September. Still haven't heard back. Could you please let me know when I can expect? If your intake is January 2022, like I've said before, like I've responded to many of you on your comment section, they should process you by December. So mid-December, early December, end of November, right? End of November is next week, literally. But in the next 2-3 weeks, you should expect it. If your intake period with your college, university, or school program or high school is next year, like May, September, then you're going to be in the back of the line, and they're not going to process you early. If you don't receive something by the end of the first week of December, send an email to the embassy directly, okay? Mujahid Yusuf is saying, a flight to the Dominican Republic and there are 6 hours in Canada. Do I need a transit visa? It depends on your nationality, okay? So if you're not ETA, in most cases, you do need, if you're not visa exempt, it doesn't matter where you're traveling from and to. If you're stopping Canada, many nationalities need a transit visa. Your airline or travel agency can fill you in on that. So for each nationality, it's different. Pratyush is asking a question today. It's been more than 7 weeks since my electronic confirmation of PR came, but no PR card yet. I have to travel outside for important family business. Would contacting my MP expedite? No, it wouldn't, because you're at 7 weeks. You can expect a PR card around 2 months, worst case 2.5 months. So in the next 4 weeks, worst case, you should expect it. Very difficult to make it faster. Local MP, potential, if it's delayed, it would help. But right now, from our clients, we're seeing 2 months, 2 months on a week or 10 days. Akram Ruziev, do you have any information about FSW applications that are being processed? This year, they are not being processed. If you ask IRCC, they will not even give you a proper response. Simpsons, I love your name, by the way. Does IRCC also have quotas for PR applications too, or just TRVs? Yeah, I mean, they have quotas in terms of the annual quotas, which they actually publish. They want to have 1 million over 3 years, right? So those are published. And however, the TRVs, the visas, the tourist visas, study permits, work permits, they've got specific criteria and quotas which are not published, and they don't ever admit it either. But PRs are public, and the government, it's within their budget. So they have immigration targets, and that's where the PRs come in. Pratyush is asking, or should I just hope to get a permanent travel document, PR travel document once I land in India? Don't do that. Permanent residency travel documents are tricky, time consuming, and you'll be stuck overseas for a very long time. Okay? Those are in desperate situations you would do that. Jimmy Phillip is asking, any update on the FSW processing, Federal Skilled Worker Express Entry? Any chance of COPRs issued this year? For the general draws, no. For FSW, unless you're in CEC or PNP, Provincial Nominee Program, Express Entry, no chance this year. Wubalem Sisay. Hello, sir. Please let me know about family reunification processing time. File lodge in September 20th and biometric September 9th. When will be medical? How long will it take? So family reunification, if it's a visitor visa, you can expect it from a week to a month, maybe 2 months, depending on where you're applying from. If it's a PR, you could be looking at 1.5 years. Joseph, hello, Reza. Can we use 2 NOC codes on the same express entry application? Well, you can if you have a work history, right? You could have worked in different NOC codes. You cannot have one occupation now with 2 NOC codes, but you could be working for 2 different employers with 2 different NOC codes at the same time. Can one employment letter title match 2 NOC codes at the same time? No, we don't advise that. Should we have 1 employment letter per NOC code? If it's 1 employer, technically you should have 1 NOC code. Simpsons, I mentioned the wrong year in the visa refusal. Instead of 2009, I put 2008. Will it be an issue? No, it's not a serious issue. The point is you have admitted and reported and disclosed your refusal. Whether it's a month, a few months here and there, 1 year, it's not a big issue. The point is you have disclosed it. That's more important. If you didn't, that would be a reason for misrepresentation and refusal. Ghana Shiam, I'm from India, but I'm in residence of Denmark. I just applied for my biometric. I haven't gotten any email or answer. Could you please let me know how long it will take to get an answer? It depends what you're looking for. A confirmation of your biometric could be very quick. If you're looking for a visa or PR processing, it's different depending on the program, right? So if you're doing a study permit, for example, and if it's a January intake, you should be getting a decision very soon. If you're talking about something else, then that's a whole different issue. Rebecca Sisson, hi Reza, how are you doing? Do you mean, do I need to apply and submit a new document again or do my metrics again for my tourist visa? No, Rebecca, what we discussed at the beginning of this was just a general thing, because there's a lot of guides and YouTube videos out there about how to do the best study permit application, study plan. That's great. But those people are talking about one nationality, their own experience. So each country of residence, embassy, nationality will process your documentation in a different way, will be looking at different benchmarks and guidelines. That's all I'm saying. So you do what you need to do, and you should not reapply based on what I said. The point is you have to be super careful when you're from a different country and somebody who has no clue about your country is doing a video or a document checklist, or they have a blog about how to do the best study plan or study permit checklist. It's or the application. It may not be, or it may be relevant to your nationality or your visa or your region. So no, you don't need to reapply. It's not something new. It's something informative, general information for everybody to kind of watch out for. Shali Kaur, I applied for a visitor visa on the 31st July. Biometrics done on August 10th, still no visa. If you meet the eligibility criteria of the new visa processing for visitor visas, you should reapply. If you don't, then you're at the mercy of the embassy waiting for a very long time. So life in Rishikesh after 50, that's a cool name, by the way. Hi, do you help with postgraduate work permit holders for PR and do assist in getting a NOC job? We help with postgraduate work permits. We help with people's PR applications. I'm not sure about your question. Reach out to us through our website. Mention you discuss with us on YouTube. We can discuss more details because we're not sure exactly what you're looking for. Neil Yacob. Hello, Reza. God bless you for all the work that you're doing to help ease the anxiety of potential immigrants. I was an immigrant. My family are still immigrating. Most of our staff at the company are first-generation immigrants. So we completely understand. My question is that we get IRCC letter approving the sponsor for our private sponsorship application is September 23rd. The email said that our application has gone to the Canadian Embassy in Abu Dhabi. When do you expect that we could hear from the embassy for further requirement? I sent an email to them, but it was an automated response stating that we should use a web form, which I did, but no response. Right now, everything is automated response, web form. So in the next 1 month or 2 months, you'll get an automated response about the web form too, right? If you're doing the private refugee group of 5 applications, they're way behind. They're way behind. Unless you're from Afghanistan, they're way behind. So don't expect anything to be done this quickly, okay? I've had people on this show that have been waiting for 1.5 years, 2 years. It's ridiculous under that program. Shali Kaur is saying, please answer my question. I'm very disturbed. I think okay, you're from Denmark. Okay, so please answer my question. I have a case and I want to come. Yeah, so Shali Kaur, I need to know what kind of application it was that you applied from Denmark and you did your biometrics. Mujahid Yusuf is saying, I have a case and I want to communicate with you to ensure the best solution. Sure, Mujahid. So if you have a general question or comment, we do it Tuesdays live on our YouTube. sometimes even Facebook Live. If you need our office to support you and hire our office, you can reach out to us through our website and mention you were doing it on, you will communicate with us on YouTube. But in terms of general questions and comments and free advice, Tuesdays are it, YouTube is it. Melissa David, hi Reza, I application for my visitor visa in July, did my biometrics and no reply. I emailed IRCC and it was told to reapply, and I did, but it didn't say to reapply for humanitarian reason. No, so the point is, Melissa, and I'm from Trinidad, if you meet the criteria of having a family member in Canada, update, maybe your conditions change, like your vaccination, or you have a Canadian family member or international student, or you're coming here for a business meeting, or there's a funeral or some serious health issue or medical reason, then you reapply. Under the new platform, they will process your application faster. In terms of humanitarian compassionate reasons, no, it's just a visitor visa based on the criteria they have published on their website. Ghana, Shiam, I applied for a visitor visa from Denmark already. My biometrics has been done. It's a week now. Haven't gotten any answer. Just want to let know how long it'll take. So Ghana, Shiam, if you've got family, if it's just a general tourist visa, it may take a long time and not be processed. If you have family members in Canada, whether they're Canadian or international students or international foreign workers, or if you're here for a business meeting, or if you're part of a crew, or if it's attending a funeral, these sort of things, they will process it very quickly as long as you put in the right application. If it's just a general tourist visa, I'm here to see Niagara Falls, I don't think it's going to be processed this quickly. Kabita Shrestha, applicant of a spousal open work permit, applied in April 23rd this year, biometric updated, raised web forms. There's a review of eligibility. It says we're reviewing whether you meet eligibility. Is this a good sign? It is a good sign. If you don't get some kind of processing by January, you've got to push hard again, right? Right now, new applicants are being processed in 2 months, 2 months and a few weeks. This is what our clients are being processed. Older applications have kind of been archived sometimes, so you got to keep an eye on your application. It is a good sign if there's some changes. Louis Jumat, hi, I was wondering if PNP, Provincial Nominee Program Express Entry, is currently being processed faster than FSW. My AOR was January 2021. They are sending invitations to apply, but there's no real processing for Outland. You are receiving ITAs or some basic processing, but it's not processed faster than people who've been waiting for over a year. Outland from Federal Skilled Worker Express Entry. Neil Jacob, it's a private sponsorship by SAH. Yeah, that's what I mentioned. It's a private group of 5 sponsorship. Like in Rikesh, after 50, your email ID, please. Please email generally, through our website, folks. So I just put our website. Go on their contact form, right? info@ingwe.ca. We do not answer regular comments or questions about IRCC processing. Our office is dedicated for clients only. So if you need help, reach out to us. Otherwise, Tuesdays is the time we give back to the community, the immigrant community. Louis Jumat, my bridging open work permit expires December 30th. I'm currently outside of Canada and I had submitted a new TRV application on October 8th. No update since. Is there a chance they would issue a TRV with my bridging open work permit expiring soon? So you're outside of Canada, so your work permit is irrelevant at this point. If they process your TRV because you've got family members or there's specific criteria that you meet, they will process it faster for you. However, please note that if you're coming back and your BOWP is expiring, then, and it depends, do you actually have the bridging open work permit, or are you talking about the letter that was issued that says you can work until this time or until a decision is made? However, your visitor visa will be processed independently, right? And if you put in, I'm planning to come and continue to work for my employer, but your bridging open work permit is expiring, but so there's things you got to be careful about that. I don't know your case in detail, so that's all I can say for now. Life in Rickshaw after 50, and I like that name again. Do you help PGW holder achieve a NOC job? Send us a message. I mean, there's companies that are always hiring. You know, we do the immigration side of things. So if you like, we can, you know, point you to the right direction. Shelly Carr applied from India, and the visa was a sponsorship. Shelly Kaur, I thought you were okay. Shelly Kaur, yeah. I applied for visitor visa July, biometric August, still no, from India. So if you meet the new criteria, you have to reapply. If you don't, then you're at the mercy of waiting. I was on a sponsorship. Okay, well, it depends what you mean by a sponsor. If your spouse or partner from Canada has sponsored you, it's in process, and you did a visitor visa, they may not process it fast. But if they're here in Canada, they're a PR, international student, temporary foreign worker, yes, and you included a correct documentation, it can be processed faster if you reapply as of September 7th onwards through the new instructions. Louis Jumat, is eligibility passed on the global case management system notes a good sign on a PR application? Yes, yeah, of course, it means something's happening. Mujahid, you said, I would like to delegate your office. I would like to book a private consultation. No problem. Mujahid, look at our website, go to our e-store and just book a consultation there in English if you like. We got several languages that we help with. And remember, folks, our team speaks over 7 languages. We help people from over 45 different countries. Surah D. Tube, I applied for a student visa. Thank you for your interest in studying in Canada. After careful review of your study permit application, I have determined that your application, I'm not satisfied that you leave Canada at the end of your stay, according blah, blah, blah. Yeah, this is generic, Surah. This is refusal. It depends where you're applying. Are you applying from a high refusal region? This is generic. So when you get a refusal, you ask for the global case management system notes. What did the visa officer say? What was the reasoning behind the refusal? And if you're from a high refusal region, you are at the mercy of a quota, an undeclared, unpublished quota and discrimination. So you need to fight that. If you have a winning case, you need to fight that. And that's where we take our clients' cases for judicial review. We reapply, and then we take it to a federal court judge if you're serious about your case. So that's a generic refusal. It means nothing. It just means you're refused. Okay, unless they put very specific reasons, but in your case, they didn't really put based on your employment situation or whatever, right? So was it really your employment situation, or was it because of your passport, nationality, residence? Was it because of various other factors? So you need to be really looking into that. Incredible World. That's a cool name, by the way. Hi, what's the status for closed work permits from India? I finished biometrics in April. I'm still stuck now. A lot of closed work permit applicants are stuck. Okay, you need your employer inside of Canada to go to their member of parliament and ask, hey, I need this worker. Why aren't they being processed? They have a direct line with IRCC. IRCC will get notified and update them. And what that does automatically, it wakes them up and be like, oh, maybe we should process this applicant. That's the only thing you can do now. But, oh, hi, Rena. It's Reza, no problem. Sarah D2, I'm not saying, yeah. Now, Jacob, sorry to continue on my question, Reza. The private sponsorship was through a church, which is different processing times a group, if I'm not mistaken, or are we both processed with the same? It's within the same category. It's not group of 5, but anyways, it's slow. Right now, Afghanis are being processed priority because of that issue that's happened in Afghanistan. I don't know about I know for group of 5 and the sponsorship effort, it's been taking very long time. It's going to take a long time. So whether group of 5 is slower and the church sponsorship is faster, right now, neither are faster. Okay, so we have to see. You have to be looking at a 1 to 2 year timeline, to be honest with you. But we can only gauge your processing time maybe mid of next year to see, has there been progress? Are you receiving updates? If not, then you're in for a long haul. The first 3 months of next year, even, I don't expect any progress. But again, nobody knows. It's like you're looking into the Atlantic or Pacific Ocean, and you're trying to figure out what's at the bottom of the ocean. That's how IRCC is right now. Louis Jumat, I have a bridging open work permit itself. Thanks for your answer. No problem. But if it's expiring, yeah, as I said, it's, it's useless to you coming in. Giocelid Severino, I applied from Chile. Nice, Chile. Hello from Chile. I applied from Chile for the BC Provincial Nominee Program, skilled worker with a job offer on September 30th. The page says they're processing in 2-3 months. Do you know if that's actually true? Yes, it is true. There was an event where BCPNP did a presentation and an update. For PRs, it's a bit slower because it goes through federal, but for work permits, it should be. If it takes longer, get your employer to push and follow up. Leonel Poniente, beautiful name. Hi, Reza. Thank you for giving us information. God bless you. God bless everybody who's trying to come to Canada. We are here to help you. Joseph, federal skilled worker outland, cash salary for one of my job. I have submitted payment receipts, salary certificate, reference letter with all IRCC requirements. Will cash salary for a genuine job create any concerns? It depends. Like, how are you're doing a cash salary for one of my jobs, payment receipts. It really depends. If that's the only thing you have and you didn't deposit it to your bank account, they may be a concern for the officer. So they're going to look at the full package. Do you have employment contracts? Do you have insurance from your employer? If it's just cash and it's not going to your bank account and there's nothing else, yes, that's a huge problem. Yeah, so Sarah DTube, it's a generic refusal. You're not going to return from Canada to your home country. Your employment prospects are weak, so your ties to your home country basically. Shelly Cower, sponsorship was from extended family member. Extended, it may not be prioritized. Immediate, yes. But, hi Reza, I'm fully vaccinated, Moderna vaccine from Nigeria. Do I need to add that to my application? Yes. And will it hasten the process for my visitor visa? It will help, but if you have Canadian ties, they will process. If you're coming here for Niagara Falls or to watch the basketball team, the Toronto Raptors, then it's going to be sort of slow. Emmanuel Oinloye, good day. I'm about to apply for my work permit under the Atlantic Immigration Program. It's not a pilot, by the way, so it's just AIP right now. This November, when my endorsement is approved, please, how long will the permit take to process? When can I get my wife to apply for an open work permit? I would say wait for your work permit and then later on look at your wife's, okay, after you've come in. Some people apply together, so you could have applied together as well, okay? But you've already applied, so I guess wait for that to be processed. Right now, it's difficult to say. AIP PRs were being processed quite quickly. With the work permits, I would say because you're in the Atlantic, ask your employer to follow up. So after like 2 months, ask them to follow up with the local office to push. It could be done in 2 months. It could be done in 3 months because it's AIP. However, if they miss it, IRCC is very inconsistent right now. You need to keep a very close eye. Sarah DTube, yes, I understand. It's a very generic refusal. Don't worry, I've seen those letters a lot. People who've come to us with refusals, because that's what we handle. Abdul Kadir Said, hi Reza, I really appreciate your time and great tips on immigration. My question: if my federal skilled worker express entry program is active and I get an intercompany transfer to Canada, which immigration I qualifies? Well, if your profile is active but you have not received the invitation to apply, then it doesn't matter. You apply under intercompany transfer. But if you already applied for a PR under express entry and you're applying for intercompany transfer, it's possible. However, you have to be careful, right? Is the same employer that you're declaring in your express entry profile. So you have to look at, do you already have an ITA, invitation to apply in your express entry? If not, then it means nothing. So So you can do an intercompany transfer. Your express entry will be active and you can renew it after 1 year, create a new one. So you can be a student, an international visitor. You can be inside Canada, outside Canada, and have an active profile. However, for PR applications, for people who've received the invitation to apply, it will be a little bit different in processing. Melissa David, hi Reza, I have a fiance in Canada, but I applied for a visitor visa and you said my visa may not be looked at. What should we do? Because we want to also get married. He may not be able to apply for me right now. It's tricky, Melissa, with these cases, and we've handled a lot of these cases. If a visitor visa has gone in and you've mentioned that there's a sponsorship also and that it's your fiance, they will wait for the office for the sponsorship, who's the officer looking at your sponsorship case, to give a green light or not before they issue a visitor visa. They may refuse you, they may approve you, or you may not see a decision. It's a bit tricky. It depends when you've done the sponsorship. But if you haven't done the sponsorship, from what I can understand, then your visitor visa will be kind of gauged on a different level. That means, what's your nationality? Do you have travel history? If you mention that, hey, I'm coming here to get married to my fiance, that's it, and there is no sponsorship application, they may refuse you. There's a lot of factors in play, so we'd have to look at the big picture. It's a little bit tricky right now just to give you the exact information, but that's how they will look at it. It may not help you, right? But it also may help you. But it depends on your nationality, which embassy, and what you've done so far in your profile, right? Because technically a fiance, if there's no ties, like, are you conjugal partners? Were you common law? At this point, you're not, because you're not living together and you're not married. So there's different factors. I apologize if if I can't give you more insight into that. Joseph Tagoe, I live in Canada on a work permit. I lived in Canada. Later, I had an ITA, invitation to apply, which is through the express entry, if people don't know what an ITA is. And I applied for my PR. I also applied for a TRV because I had to come home urgently. That's fine. Okay, we'll look at that later. That's fine. Incredible world. Hi, any updates for closed work permits? I finished biometrics in April. No further updates. Very much upset and very much disturbed. Incredible world. I agree with you. Many people like yourself, and it's not good. It's not good for Canada's image. It's not good for anybody. Yourself, your family, your employer here. You've got to get your employer to push their member of parliament here. The member of parliament and IRCC will say, we cannot push them, but when they call and there's a flag in the system that they followed up on this case, they can start processing your application. We've seen people since 2019, 2020 even, that are stuck depending on the embassy with the closed work permits from overseas. Ayomikun Toluhi. By the way, folks, I love these names, so international. I've never seen such a variety of cool names, and I do apologize if I'm not pronouncing them correctly. Hello, I applied for a student visa in March for September 2021 intake. When that passed, I deferred to January 2022 and sent a web form for my new admission letter attached. Haven't heard from them. Oh yeah, ooh, that's a tough one. There's something wrong with that application, or there's something wrong with the embassy. If you applied in March and you did your biometric, they should have processed you for September, because the deadline was May. If it wasn't, there might be something with the application, but if you did a perfect application, then something wrong with the embassy. But it may be that you're missing something. There's something wrong with that. It's not normal. It's like 99.99% should have been processed. There's something that needs to be done about your application. I'd need more info about where you applied from, what your nationality is, have you had previous refusals, whole bunch of things. And did you apply with accompanying people, family members? Isaac Asamoah Dante, what is the best way to demonstrate a sole property as proof of funds in your bank statement? As proof of funds in your bank statement is not impressive. Yeah, it's possible. The title deed that you had that was under your name or your family, like your spouse or partner, okay, or your child, for example. The purchase sale agreement or the bill of sale. Who did you sell it to? When was it? What was the value? the full translated version. Then the proof of payment. Was it a check they gave you and then they deposited? Well, put a copy. If not, it was a wire transfer deposit, your bank statement. Okay. And if you're even clever, you can put in when you purchased that property or if you inherited it, documents like that. That's going a little bit further than what's required, but it makes it solid. However, title deed, bill of sale, which is the purchase sale agreement. So all the transaction value, the date, who owned it, who you sold it for, and where that money came in your bank statement to provide proof. Plus, going additional steps, getting a chartered accountant, a CPA, a lawyer, right, to put in a letter that this transaction was done, plus of the bill of sale, a notary, plus the bank statement or a banker issuing letter. So it depends how tricky it is from your country to apply, right? So if you're from a specific nationality or embassy, I would say go beyond what is minimum required. If you're from a country which is easy, bill of sale, title deed, and that amount coming exactly into your bank. If it's not, then you need to provide proof of what happened to that money. And if you've received checks, copy of those checks that then were deposited to different accounts. So look at it as an audit. If somebody audited your account or that transaction, what would they need to know to understand and verify it's genuine? Where the money came in or the property, where it went. Shelly, and if you pay taxes, by the way, if there are land transfer taxes and all those documents, because each country is different. I understand that as well. I'm not from Canada. I wasn't born here, right? So I understand some countries it's very different than North America or Europe. So you need to look at the whole purchase sale process and provide as much proof as possible. Shalika, but I don't meet the new criteria. Okay, and I have to marry a person who is in Canada on work permit, and now I can't do anything as my file is under process. Okay, Shelly. Yeah, don't mention you're coming here to get married. That's very difficult. One option is that person coming over to marry you in your country, because your visa may take a long time. So unfortunately, you're at the mercy of IRCC. There's not much you can do unless you did have ties, but you said you haven't gotten married to that person, you plan to. Why don't they come back and you get married, right? Unless you're from a country where conjugal relationships could potentially be possible. But again, that is tricky when somebody with a work permit in Canada, they're not even PR. So you're at the mercy of IRCC. It's tricky. Look at other options. Bado, my wife currently in Canada on study prepared for invitation letter stating that she wants us to visit her to the holidays, December 10th to January. Do you think it's a strong enough for fast processing? You've got your vaccinations, proof of relationship, proof of status of your wife. Yes. Plus, you need to show some ties to your home country that you're, it's okay. You could potentially also do an open spousal work permit right now, because right now they are being processed from overseas. Sunidhi AG, CEC Outland, India, and a lot of abbreviations. Canadian experience class, Outland means express entry, applied from outside. India, January 2020. So one and a half years ago, or close to 2 years now. Medical done, updated. As per current global case management system notes, which is the officer notes internally with IRCC, pending for PR release. Received job offer from one Canadian company, sending offer letter to CIC, makes them release PR immediately. No, it wouldn't. Louis Jumat, sir, for the multiple questions, since I have a express entry Nova Scotia PMP inland application and TRV returning worker outland, can applying for a study permit affect my other applications? You should not do a TRV and then another TRV. You have to withdraw one. You can have a PR and a TRV, whether it's study permit, visitor visa, work permit. You should not have two TRVs at the same time, okay? Unless you're inside of Canada and you're doing an outside of Canada application, but that's not your case. And again, I don't want to confuse everybody. Ayomikun Toluhi. I love that name, by the way. Also, I have a brother in Canada studying currently. How can my dad and I use that our advantage when contacting IRCC? You can use that. You're an immediate family member of a Canadian international student. So you have to include those documentation for your visa with your vaccinations, a letter from them, their proof of status, just for the visit, right? And your ties to your home country will be considered when they make a decision. However, under the new criteria when you're applying, make sure you tick the right check boxes so your file is processed faster because you have an immediate family member who's in Canada with status. Maliha Irfan, I have given my biometric for a work visa in Montreal in September. Considering the situation, when do you think I will get my work permit? Are you in Montreal or not? And under which program did you apply? You're outside, inside, need more info. Ayomikun Toluhi. Lastly, both my father and I are fully vaccinated. Perfect. Where do we upload the vaccination? The client information file, or there's no specific folder. So some people put it in with their passport. Some people put it in the client information file. It really depends. Or the proof of, so those are potential. There's no rule for it. Anywhere where you see that the first couple pages, they can clearly see it, and make sure you include an explanation letter that you have it. I'm losing my voice here, folks. Osman Zahir, I applied PR under Atlantic Immigration Program for Pakistan. My application was submitted in November 2020. Acknowledgement of permanent residency February. The website says processing times of 6 to 12 months. 6 months. No, it's usually around 12 months. And with the Afghanistan issue, it's been pushed further. But what we've seen with our Atlantic Immigration Program clients, it's usually 1 year. The Afghanistan issue since the last few months has delayed it a little bit beyond that. Joanne Moxie Lockhart, I remember you from the last session. I don't remember the questions, but I remember the name. If proof of funds letter only has the applicant's name, but the bank account has parent's name attached, is it a gift deed still needed? So if they need to do a gifting letter, a notarized letter saying that they're undertaking or gifting that money, okay, or right before you can use it. If it's your money, that's fine. But if it's in their account, you need an undertaking, financial undertaking, sponsorship, or a gifting letter, which should be notarized by a notary or a lawyer. Should be in English or French. Adi Chinu, one of my friends is a Canadian PR, and he recently got married a couple of months ago. Congrats. He applied for a visitor visa for his wife on October 10th under the new VB portal. What can be expected result? Whew. So if they got married overseas and they're bringing over, it has he sponsored her, right? So I'm just wondering what's happened. Where did they get married? Did he sponsor her already and they're doing a visitor visa or not? If it's just a visitor visa, then you said visitor visa applicant from India. It's going to be so-so. I mean, they're going to look at the profile. The embassy might be tricky with that. They may look at it independently from the fact that they're married, right? And how quickly did they get married? Did you include documentation to show the proof of relationship before the marriage? Because they might be like, oh, they just got married to bring this person to Canada. There's a lot of things that the embassy will think and look at. Isaac Asamoah Dante, I'm not satisfying you will leave Canada based on your personal assets and finance. Yeah, of course. That's a refusal. There wasn't enough documentation to prove your financials or the money you've received from the sale. Folks, we're going to cut off very quickly now. It's the end of it's like 10:16. Maliha Irfan, I've given my biometrics for a work visa in Montreal in September. Considering the situation, when do you think I will get the permit? It's through a intercompany transfer. It might take, if it's a NOC 0A, it should take less than 1 month. If it's not, it's a NOC B, I believe it will take longer. It could take several months. Thanks for the tip on adding the vaccination and invitation letter. Folks, no more questions, please. We're going to cut off. I got to run, but we'll be back here 5 p.m. Eastern today again, both in Spanish and English. That's homeowner is applied. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of questions, folks. I can't accept more questions. There's too many right now. Yeah, I'm losing track, folks. Sorry. Yeah, there's just too many questions. You know what I'll do? I'll have to There's too many questions, folks. It's just too much. I have to answer these later on. So let me see if I can quickly. There's just too many. Melissa, hi, Rachel. My fiance visit IRCC. Nasrin says hi. Yeah, there's just, sorry guys. I've been doing this for over now, like an hour now, and just too many questions. And I lost track where I was. Okay, so Maliha Irfan, I've given my band. Yeah, we talked about that. Bod O says, thanks for the tip on adding the vaccination. Yeah. Any other documents? Yeah, proof of status and your ties to your home country. Ayomi Kintaluhi, I forgot something. I got a mail 2nd November Sunday. They are working on my application. Should I just expect? Yeah, just wait. Bhaskar Same, hi Reza, I'm PR. My wife applied for a visa from India October 10th, submitted biometrics October 18th, no update. Any timeline? It could take, it could take a week or 2 months. So it's tough to say right now. Joseph Tagoe, I speak now. I haven't received both PR nor TRV and I'm outside Canada. Please, I want to know how my application will be delayed. Will I get a COPR while out? Potentially, yes, but it could be next year, obviously, not this year. Melissa David, hi Reza, should my fiance visit IRCC and I applied from Trinidad Tobago and I'm fully vaccinated? Vaccinate my application is normal application. They can't really visit IRCC, but they can call, but it's not really going to help. They're not going to really respond properly. Calling IRCC is useless. A normal visitor visa. Manshuri Dingari, ICT Nakwade from India. Application started 21st August. When can we expect? You have technically should have been in 2 weeks to 4 weeks. So your company has to follow up and make sure your application documents were complete and correct. Shalika, if I get married here in India, can I apply for open work permit? Yeah, if your spouse here in Canada is an international worker, student working or studying full-time, yes. Vira Raval, hello sir, good morning. I have applied for PNP but didn't receive my acknowledgement residency, so that I have submitted application for close work permit extension. What is for standard time for renewal? If it's outside of Canada, it's a long time. If it's inside, 3 to 4 months. Bushra, that was a great job. Sinopharm will be accepted anytime. No. Achinu, how long does it take to withdraw? Sorry, I'm just going to read through. There's too many questions, folks. How long does it take to withdraw a spousal open work permit and visit from India as just the spousal applicant was rejected? India has told my friend withdrawal will take 6 months. A spousal open work permit visitor visa, it can take a month to 3-4 months. I mean, it depends on IRCC. I've seen responses in a month. Sometimes it could take several months, right? I wouldn't be surprised if it takes up to 6 months, but it can be anywhere. Shalika, my last question. The person who I want to marry has applied under temporary student PR program. He received acknowledgement by letter, also done, but no results. Yeah, I mean, you'd have to look at it separately, right? They're doing a PR. If they marry you while they're doing a PR, their PR will be processed later. So my suggestions is not to delay their process by getting married right now. Maliha Irfan, I've given my biometric for work visa considering the intercompany transfer and company outside Canada. It can take several months, but correctly done, it could have taken 1 month. When I reapplied for my visitor visa, they didn't ask my vaccination. Yeah, they don't ask for it, but it's much better to include it. Sundi, AG, appreciate response. Any specific reason why having a job offer is not a blessing to get PR released? It depends on the program you're applying. Shahnawaz Sheikh, when federal skilled worker drive will be conducted next year, not the first few months. Bado, can I have a spousal open work permit and a visitor visa application in at the same time? No, spousal open work permit will give you a visa to enter if you're applying from outside. If you're doing a visitor visa separately, it will be a conflict because you're going there to visit and return, or an open spousal. An open spousal approval will give you a visitor visa, so it's already there within that application. Gio Celet Severino, second question. I applied for BCPMP at the same time to IRCC while my employer waited for the approval of the LMIA. The point is Canada's service rejected the LMIA. If it was a LMIA. Okay, so if you went under a PR stream, that's separate. The LMIA your employer did incorrectly. If your employer needs, they can contact us. LMIAs are being approved 90% if you know what you're doing. They probably don't know what they're doing. I still have the chance for approval of BCPA. Yes, if it's a PR stream of money to IRCC. If it's a work permit, no, unless it's a LMI exempt. Again, reach out to us on our website. We can give you more details if you need help. Meleha Irfa, I'm currently working remotely and waiting for my work permit. I'm currently residing in UAE. UAE is very slow, so that's why you're stuck. The embassy that GOZ Severin, or maybe they will discount the amount from buying it. No, there will be no discounting and all that. Shalika, can you please answer my question? I think I did. Mohammed Yunus, AR November 20th, S Saskatchewan immigration nominee, paper-based outline, no AOR yet. Wait till next year. It's slow. Navroz Babu, Jackie, I wonder your knowledge about IRCC. I'm praying for you always. Thanks. Mohammed Yunus, I only have a temporary file, which I believe is useless. It's not useless. It's better than not having. A lot of our clients have startup visa temporary file numbers. Isaac Azoma Dante, you have not provided sufficient document to support your both income and assets. Yeah. So as I said, I explained about the audit. Folks, I got to run. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. If you're watching this video from before, the first 7 minutes, we talked about the general topic of the title of this video. The rest was answering questions. We're back today, 5 p.m. Eastern time, every Tuesday, 9 a.m., 5 p.m. Thanks for everybody joining. Sorry, I went a little bit fast the last section. I am losing my voice. Thanks again. We'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye now.